Now, I'm joined here at NATO headquarters by Colonel Martin O'Donnell, who's a senior advisor to the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. Martin, thanks a million for joining us this morning. So, first of all, this troop cut. Now, we saw an announcement of 5,000 from Germany. Instead of taking 5,000 troops from Germany, the US is taking 4,000 or cancelling a brigade to Poland. But there is going to be subsequent cuts. The United States has already warned of this. But can you tell us a little bit more about the context?
Yeah, sure. So I think you're talking about two separate things, but they share one thing in common. I'll talk about the two separate things, but on the commonality, that is, the United States has made it abundantly clear that it needs to focus elsewhere, not just in Europe. It has stressed Europeans need to step up. Europeans are stepping up. There's agreement within the alliance that a stronger Europe equals a stronger NATO. So that's the commonality that those two things share. Separately, if you look at each one, you talked about the 5,000 with the 4,000. The 4,000 troops, the rotational brigade earmarked for Poland. This has never been about Poland. The other 1,000 troops, obviously coming from Germany, from a long-range fires unit there. And so those are rotational forces. Rotational forces can rotate in and out. What's happening now is that the Supreme Allied Commander, General Grinkovich, in both his capacity as Supreme Allied Commander and as European Commander, is looking at how he needs to potentially adjust forces inside Europe to compensate for that, both U.S. forces and NATO forces. Separately, yes, the U.S. There's been indications that the U.S. will announce changes to the NATO force model. I think the important thing for your viewers to understand is that those adjustments have been discussed about with NATO over the course of the last many months. All right, there should be no surprises on this, and it will focus on areas where we see Europeans very, very capable of stepping up.
Okay. So the idea being that the first announcement was, I suppose, in the middle of a feud with Chancellor Merz. This announcement is in relation to ongoing discussions and military planning. So it's a little bit more sort of forward planning. Can I ask you also about access to munitions? Because we've seen the United States burning through billions of dollars worth of weapons. Now there's concerns that Europeans won't be able to access what they need for Ukraine.
Yeah, so I think the United States has also made this clear that there's enough munitions. Munitions are still flowing, both to Europe and, most importantly, to Ukraine. Cannot stress enough the importance of the PEARL, the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List, and the contributions that we continue to need from nations to step up. We've seen many, many contributions from many European nations. We need more to keep coming in to ensure these munitions can continue to go to Ukraine.
But I suppose in terms of production, that's the key issue, isn't it? Because they can't keep up with the pace. So what needs to be done about production?
Well, we need to increase our defense industrial base on both sides of the Atlantic. And that was a big part of the discussion that occurred here yesterday with the Chiefs of Defense meeting. I think that will continue at the end of the week with the meeting of the foreign ministers.
Just in relation to the drones, can you just quickly tell us a little bit about, because we've seen a lot more drone incursions across European territory, just very quickly, is this something we need to be deeply concerned about?
Yeah, so I think what, again, the viewers need to understand is we saw NATO shot down a drone yesterday that potentially threatened NATO airspace. We've done that before. We'll continue to do that. We're continuing to roll out ground-based interceptors for drones all along the Eastern Front as part of Eastern Sentry. And so viewers should be assured that NATO has a handle on this.
Okay, Colonel Martin O'Donnell, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And back to you in Studio Maeve.
Thank you so much.